Hello and welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. We have some fantastic sessions on the agenda for you today, but before we jump in, I have a very exciting announcement to make. The Product Marketing Awards are back for 2022 and I'm delighted to announce that nominations are now open. We received a whopping 181 New Yeek nominations last year, and this year we want even more PMM pioneers to be recognised. We have 7 top-notch categories for you to get involved in, and we can't wait to shout about the incredible product marketing talent within our community. The categories are Product Marketing Leader of the Year, Product Marketing Team of the Year, Product Marketing MVP of the Year, Product Marketing Newcomer of the Year, Positioning and Messaging Maestro of the Year, Product Launch of the Year, and Top Companies to Work in Product Marketing. Nominations are now open but must close on August 19th. So what are you waiting for? Spread the word, get your nominations in and celebrate those product marketing superstars that continue to go the extra mile. We'll be sharing a link to the nomination page in the chat throughout the day, so keep a lookout for that. We're also here if you have any questions, so please feel free to reach out via Slack or email. Now, after all the excitement, I just want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, speakers, and you, our lovely audience, for joining us today at the festival. Please make the most of these sessions by asking your questions and sharing your feedback in the comment section of the video. So with that, let's get back to the sessions.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Product Marketing Festival. Hope you've had a fantastic day so far. We have got an awesome live session for you now, so please join me in welcoming Lila Rosell, who is the Director of Customer Enablement at Appcues, to the virtual stage. Over to you, Lila.
Hello everybody. Everyone's still alive, awake, still have the energy for the afternoon sesh. I'm here to pump it up. I'm here to pump it up and get it going. If you don't know me, like Rose said, my name is Lila. I run customer enablement at Appcues, which is basically every communication that comes to customers after they sign up. So all kinds of fun stuff there. In-app messaging, email, advocacy, newsletters. I'm sure there's some Appcues customers on the line, including the Product Marketing Alliance. So if you get an email from me, or an in-app message, please respond and say hello. Pretty much every email that goes out to a customer responds to me, so say hi. And I'm excited to be here. I hope this GIF just goes away someday, but it won't. So instead of trying to do the Beyonce thing and scrub it from the internet, I'm just gonna embrace it. And this is also before my office was painted. So it's a little bit of a nice memory for me that my office has come so far. This is a different angle than in the GIF, but it has been painted. So let me know what you think of the color. Okay, so we're going to talk about product adoption today. I know I did not mention that in the agenda at all when I was talking about it, but you saw it on the screen. And I just want to level set a little bit because, you know, you got to start out on the right foot. You can't just get out the gate and have good product adoption if you're starting out with a poor onboarding experience. And I think we've all heard plenty about that on the internet these days. But I like to back up what I'm saying with some sort of data, at least when I can, right? And we know this, I think, a lot of us already. Most of us would want to improve our onboarding experiences. You know, if you want to put your onboarding experience rating in the chat, I'd be curious. 1 out of 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I would rate ours like a 7 or an 8. There's always so much more I want to do, and we're not a big team over at Appcues, so we use all the tools that we have to the best of our ability, but there's a lot more that you can always do with personalization, segmentation, and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to dive right in, and this is going to be a super example-driven presentation, I guess you could say. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different ways to onboard and then continue that adoption throughout the life cycle, right? So the number one, like I said, the number one way to get started is definitely making sure you have strong onboarding and then using the information that you're gathering in the onboarding process to further inform your product adoption strategies. And another thing, I'll talk about a little bit about some different ways at the very end, like tactics and strategies that also takes the messaging that you're weaving in throughout and putting that into your customer lifecycle past the onboarding stage. But we'll start here. This is actually an Amfuse customer whose product marketing in general is incredible. And this was built in conjunction with them heavily in the product team. This is something I think a lot of us are familiar with in onboarding, is this kind of outcomes and goals based onboarding, where you select what you signed up for and then your experience changes based on that information. You can also see this as an example with Loom. If you sign up for Asana, they have another very similar example that's this kind of full screen takeover and has you select so that the product can help you best get activated, as the use cases that they've probably seen in their user research show that if they tailor it to you, you'll have a better outcome. And as far as mobile goes, or any other kind of setup that you're doing, this is an example from Speako, which is a public speaking training app that I've used. So let me know if it's working and let me know. But when I was signing up for this, I thought it was interesting because they, as a mobile app, a lot of times you're priming people for notifications, you're priming people for asking to get access to microphone or things like that. That might also happen with your desktop apps. So being able to personalize this information or give some sort of context as to why you're asking for it is super helpful. So if your product is particularly complex, and I get a lot of questions about this, like, I have a super complex product, how can I possibly make it any simpler? Or how can I make it more interesting and people want to use it and make it more engaging when they have so much to configure? Breaking it down, I've talked about this a lot, but breaking it down to the smallest possible pieces and then allowing people to customize everything that you possibly can out the gate and personalizing it for them. The only problem with that is it ends up creating a lot of tangled webs that are hard to get out of. So taking it piece by piece and learning like persona by persona or group by group or user by user is the way to do it. So I just really like this example. I think you could think of other apps that do this as well, habit forming apps and things like that. So customization, personalizing, super helpful. And I really love this example as well from Copper. I like them. And like I said, their product marketing team worked a lot on this in conjunction with their product team. So I feel like it's a really good example to share with this audience. So within the onboarding process and signing up for Copper, you get this screen after you create your account, essentially. And this gives you the option to go ahead and download their extension, which my guess, I didn't ask this directly, but my guess is that people who sign up and use the extension are more likely to convert into either a paid user or maybe more likely to use stickier features. So they'd want to get that, going right away. And the good way to do that is to say, hey, nice job. Now do the next thing. And then they have a nice little sneaky opportunity here to schedule a demo too. So it's a good use of real estate and like a congratulations message to move somebody on to the next step. I talk a little bit about storytelling and how that helps with product adoption. Not too much. I know there's a lot of talk about storytelling. I'm not trying to be that, but just to give you some idea of how that can weave into your customer journey. In my abstract, I also said I would talk about email. I love email. We used to work at Litmus, have a huge crush on email. So it's a really important part of the product adoption process. It's not, I think there's a lot, especially in B2B, there's a lot of hesitancy or a lot of thought that like email isn't working as well, but it really does work. And I mean, there's a lot of different strategies you can take, but being smart with your timing, your segmentation, just like any other marketing channel, and just the content of your emails as well. Like a lot of people, I think, phone in an email because they almost expect it not to work in a weird way. So actually putting some more effort into your strategy and the content goes a long way. And I would say that's true for in-app messaging as well. So I like this example. I feel like it's a good counterpart to the in-app example that I just showed, or the full screen example I showed, where this has, obviously going out to somebody who's done something, now that you've gotten the groove of Lucidchart. So they're looking at their product usage and they're sending an additional email based on something they've done to say, hey, go do this next. And likely, hopefully, this next thing that they're asking you to do is use LucidSpark. Shows that it is related to increasing product adoption among that user, or that it'll eventually increase into a paid user, whatever the key goals are. This is another example that, kind of a holy grail example that a lot of lifecycle marketers use, but it's a great product adoption tool and a great vehicle for product marketing on a regular basis, which is like some sort of regular reporting or activity usage email. It's a regular check-in to get people back into your product and to also showcase the ROI. Now, this is like one of those things that, oh yeah, it sounds so awesome to go and build this. You do need the data. And so it can be a little bit of an engineering challenge, or you might have to get another email tool that allows you to do liquid scripts. There's kind of some, it's not the easiest one. So I always hate presenting options that are not easy to do with any tool and affordable, but it does make a huge difference. So if you can get folks on board with it, we actually have a weekly stats email at AdQs that we use, and it has really good feature adoption impact whenever we add, and especially specific call outs based on what features people have available, and give them more information there. And that's going in their inbox every week. A lot of people might not necessarily, go in and log back into AppQues, but they're aware of the value that we're providing, which means, they're going to keep coming back and checking in. So that's a huge one. We get a lot of questions about our weekly stats email and how it's set up. It seems like it's a strong desire for folks. So if you have questions about it, how to do it at your company, feel free to drop me an email. My contact information will be at the end here. We're going to speed round the rest here, but this is a similar thing. LinkedIn has been doing really well with their ways of getting you back in the product, especially with email, showing the notifications in your email bar. So all these screenshots are from really good emails, by the way, which are a great resource. And then segmentation, it's super important. This is an onboarding message that's going up in Copper only to admins, and this might be because they know if an admin is more activated in the trial or in post-purchase onboarding, that they're more likely to be successful down the line. So there's a lot of reasons to segment, even if it's not just like something a little bit fancier, like this example from Climacell, where they're asking you, to self-select your goals. This is kind of similar to the ones that I was showing in the beginning. But it's like a self-segmentation that allows you to pick there. So, I mean, it's up to you to then segment the communications afterwards. That's where it gets hairy. Some people just use this to collect the data and send people into a different part of their product. Like, I believe that's mostly what the Copper is doing at the moment, but then using that data to eventually personalize the experience. I'm curious too, and if you want to send me an email about this or pop into my DMs and LinkedIn, what have you tried to increase adoption after onboarding? I hear a lot of different people talking about a lot of different ways, sending out email nurtures, or trying to get on one-on-one calls with CSMs, helping people through, doing a modal. There's a lot of different options. But I do want to remind people just about something that I think it's happening a lot. We have a little bit of feature fatigue going on. We keep launching features, and it's a lot of pressure on high growth companies, especially, to keep going and launching and building on the product and delivering more value to customers. But customers are also getting in their routines, still learning the product, and things are changing so quickly. And your product isn't the only one who's changing, right? So product adoption is also a game of patience. You have to understand that the message needs to be repeated several times in different places throughout a long time to necessarily bring that through. So I talk a little bit more about this on this slide, right? I already talked a lot about segmentation and personalization. I get a lot of pushback a lot of times when I want to segment messages, especially when you have a smaller audience. People are hesitant. They just want to get everyone as much as possible to use the feature. But if you can break up the message into smaller bits, even if it's just to a group of 100 people, it could have a bigger impact on those 100 people than if you sent a message to 1,000 and only 20 started using it. And it reduces the efficacy of your messaging in the future. So it's kind of about playing the long game. And telling a story, making sure that you're actually walking people through a journey that they can understand, and that's not too jargony and really related to the feature set that you want them to use, and more so like how they can relate to your product. And as I said before, don't say it just once. A lot of people make that mistake. When you launch something, keep talking about it for a long time. I feel like someone who's done product marketing has launched a feature, spent so much time promoting it, and then to talk to a customer 3 months later, and they're like, oh, I didn't see it. And you're like, I literally sent 25 emails. So keep doing it, keep talking about it. And then I just wanted to show a few examples here of some ways that you can use like in-app messaging as a feature adoption tool, either for onboarding or just throughout the life cycle. Like if somebody's never uploaded a video or never at mentioned somebody, you can show something to have them do that as long as it's contextual and in the right moment. Same with like, in an app, pointing out a beta to somebody. Like if I were targeting this message, I would make sure to do it to people who have previewed things or I've known have zoomed in a lot, or like their behavior has indicated that they might be interested in actually trying this out. You don't just want to like spray and pray. And also promoting features with content alongside them. Like this is sort of a double upsell and feature adoption tooltip that also has some templates that are linked in it. I find that content often, especially if it's a more complex feature or you're trying to convince someone of a new process, that allowing like a really helpful blog article, some awesome pre-built template, or some sort of context to that feature can be super helpful in adding that like learn more rather than directing the person to go and use the feature right away. Because like I just said, people have feature overload. They've got so many new things coming at them. They might need some additional context and to read about it a few times. Sorry, this is a email for ants, but it's on Really Good Emails. Look it up. Look up the Headspace email. It's really cool. This is a good way, an example, in a more like mobile app or D2C, B2C example where you can use your community or some other external resource to promote using your product more. My guess is that they send this email inviting people to their Facebook community because they see that their Facebook community increases interaction with their product. This is a good example too of kind of a more engineering, designery audience where you might not necessarily want to use content, you want to use features and really specific examples of how it's valuable. I like this email because it's long, it looks good, but it's also full of value. It kind of reads like a support article rather than something marketing-y, which is a really great way to do feature adoption. Asana has great examples as well. And we've got some good like promotional examples for feature adoption, like sliding out a slide out based on how many things that they've done. That's another great way to kind of congratulate and move people along. And then my last slide here is just about attribution, making sure that you actually attribute what the efforts are doing to the product adoption. It's not easy, but you can do it. Before and after would be the easiest way, but there's a lot of ways to jump in and make sure that you get the attribution going. But if you have any more questions, you want to speak with me, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm here. You can email me, lila@appcues.com. Would love to connect. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lila. That was a really great session and some fantastic examples you shared there. I know we are very short on time. But I guess if you had to give one bit of advice to people just starting out on kind of using a onboarding tool or in-app notification tool, I guess, what would that piece of advice be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say make sure you know your users inside and out, that you know what they're experiencing when they're going through your product for the first time, where they get hung up, and that you have a very good detached perspective of that. I hope that's
perfect. I think that's a great way to and yeah, like Lila said, she's very much open to connecting with people, deep diving a little bit more into these examples, or answering any additional questions. So make sure you grab her on LinkedIn or send her an email. Thanks again for joining us, Lila, and everybody else. Don't go anywhere. We've got one more fantastic session for you coming right up.